Crevonte, baby. Back again. More
In-
draft profiles.
indeed, man. This never gets old. It gets tiring, but it never gets old, man. And we got another one. We got another young man that's I think will be called early on day one of the draft.
Yes, you said it. Only place giving you draft profiles, Crevonte, how you want it.
When you need it.
Let's keep this train rolling. We got Drake May, 6'4", out of North Carolina, from Huntersville, North Carolina. Redshirt sophomore, 6'4", 223, 32 1/4 inch arms, 9 and 1/8 inch hands. 2021, he did a redshirt, but played in 4 games. 2022, he was the ACC Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, and Rookie of the Year, and Offensive Rookie of the Year. Joined Jameis Winston as the only player to win all 4 awards in the same season. First team All ACC, and 2023 second team All ACC. Started 12 games, 269 out of 425, 63.3% completion percentage, 3,600 yards, 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 9 rushing touchdowns with 449 yards as well. His father played in North Carolina as well, and his brother played basketball in North Carolina as well. A lot of lineage there for Drake May. Crevonte, what do you see when you think about Drake May? I mean, we talked about Caleb, we talked about Jaden. Where does Drake May rank for you?
I think Drake May is definitely behind those other two brothers, but I think Drake May gets a bad rep for not being quote unquote athletic. I think he is pretty athletic. I think he's a dual threat, just like the other two guys. He's just not as dynamic as Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams, but he does have a lot of athletic abilities, especially for him to be at his size, at his build. Because I mean, you look at him, he is the prototypical size for an NFL quarterback. That's what you want. How he's about two
6'4", 223, 223.
right. So he may put on a little more muscle. He may could get to 230. You know what I'm saying? But he's a prototypical. He doesn't look he doesn't look frail or slim like Jaden Daniels. He looks like he can take a beating. And the crazy thing is he did take a beating probably the last 2 years, especially in 2022, when his offensive line was terrible, like god awful. But he was still able to put up some pretty eye-opening numbers. But one thing about him, he can throw outside the numbers and he throws the ball deep a lot. Not scared to throw it deep, and he's pretty accurate on the deep ball as well. But that was probably the best thing he did. Um he has pretty good accuracy on the each level of throwing of each the for level 1, level 2, and level 3, which is deep ball. Um I was talking about 2022. 2022 is better than 2023. That's usually not a good thing going into the draft. If your last year wasn't your best year, it's they're gonna knock you for it. That's why Jaden Daniels is in a perfect spot right now. But um Drake May is not as in good of a spot. Now, great size. He has a lineage and he has a he has a pedigree of athletes. It's just I'm not sure if he's ready week one. He has all the tools, but I think, and I don't want to put this as a knock against him, but I'm kind of putting it as a knock against him. He went to North Carolina. It is what it is. He went to North Carolina. Unfortunately, we just unloaded a former North Carolina Tar Heel at quarterback. So is he looks more of a project. I don't know if he's ready to take over an organization in year one. Folks might have to put him on a Jordan Love plan,
Mm.
but unfortunately, to put somebody on a Jordan Love plan, you need to have an Aaron Rodgers guy that's already there. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And nobody. Nobody has that on hand. Typically, you pick it in the top five, your guy needs to play year one. At some point. We don't have the luxury to give him 2 extra years to sit with a clipboard. Um, a couple weaknesses. He holds the ball a really long time, man. And I think that just comes with trying to make the best out of what he has because he didn't have much. That, like I said, a couple years ago, he didn't have a really good offensive line, didn't have great weapons. It was him or bust. But also, he played in the ACC. We don't hold the ACC in high regards and haven't held them in high regards in quite some time.
Right.
Um, Florida State was really the only claim to fame in the ACC in recent memory, and then their quarterback gets injured at a couldn't have got injured at a worse time going into Selection Sunday. Um, or well, no, Selection Sunday is basketball. What is they called for the
Comma.
no going into the playoffs when they pick
Oh,
uh
the bowl
the bowl.
selection.
Well, I
Yeah.
call it Selection Sunday, but it's the bowl, selection of who's going to the playoffs and who's going to play in a regular bowl game.
Right.
Um, Florida State was great, but North Carolina, Duke. These I feel like these aren't schools where you go to get your quarterbacks. You can find great football players in and everywhere at various positions, but I feel like those basketball powerhouses don't produce great football quarterbacks.
Right.
I'll say that. Like I said, you could find a good edge rusher. Could find a gym at lineman. You could find a gym at running back and anywhere. But I feel like quarterback, be very wary of where you get them from. Listen, CJ Stroud just now pulling Ohio State out of the slums of uh of quarterbacks. But Ohio State is a big name, Big Ten school, and they churn out good prospects into the NFL that produce in the NFL. North Carolina, not so much. So Drake May already has a knock against him because he's playing against lower competition, and there's no help around him. So it's like him or bust. In that sense, he's kind of playing like, a little bit like a Josh Allen. But
Right.
I think the comp for him is probably Justin Herbert, um, with his build, arm talent, and deep ball accuracy and efficiency. But he misses a lot of gimmies. He misses the layups, and as a rookie, those are the ones you need to make. It's not the deep ball. You need to be able to take what the defense gives you, which is
Right.
going to be 9 times out of 10 a check down, and you need to be able to take those check downs. But a lot of gimme plays, Drake May misses. He has a lot of wild plays downfield, but the gimme plays is very concerning that he misses those like on a consistent basis, and it's definitely concerning for anybody who's picking in the top five because I think he's number three. Yeah, out of all the quarterbacks in this year, I think he's number three. But is he worth a top five pick if you got to sit him? I don't know. I don't know, man.
Do you see him going 3 to New England? Do you see a team trading up for him? What do you think is what do you think is a good fit? Maybe. I mean, you said he may need to wait.
I think a terrible fit is New England. I'm not gonna hold you. New England has a lot of holes, and we saw what happened to the previous quarterback. Now, Mac Jones probably didn't necessarily have the character to last in New England, but also he didn't have anything around him. Now, I hate to say it, Drake May, it looked like North Carolina all over again, except in the professional rankings, except you be getting paid this time around. Because it ain't much difference as far as talent wise between North Carolina and New England as far as what they offer him. He's gonna have to do a lot of work. And again, I don't think he's ready for nobody's week one. I think it'd be terrible for the New England to pick him at 3. But I'm hearing New England really likes Drake, Jaden Daniels. So if the Commanders take him at 2, the Patriots are probably going to trade it. Now, are the Vikings going to trade all the way up to 3?
That's a lot of
Raiders,
that's a lot of picks to jump.
that's a lot of picks. Maybe the Raiders at who are the Raiders at 8, 7, 8? They somewhere in that range.
Chargers
Um,
are 7. I think the Raiders are not far behind. I'll get the order for you.
I know the Bears are 9, so I think the Raiders are 8. Chargers at 5. I think the Giants are at 6. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think it's worth a
Raiders
trade
are
up.
at 13 actually.
Who's that? You said the Raiders. Damn, I thought they
Raiders
were so much higher.
and the Broncos are at 12. And Vikings are at 11. Jets at 10, Bears at 9, Falcons at 8. They got their guy. Tennessee at 7. They got their guy. So New York is at 6 and the Chargers at 5. And the Cardinals at 4, but I can see the Cardinals trading out.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade up. I personally, I wouldn't trade up for him. Like I said, he's not ready. I don't think he's ready yet. One, he has a lot of talent, but his fundamentals are all over the place, and he needs to go somewhere where they already have a guy in place, maybe a vet of some sort, and there's no rush for him to play. Like even the vet messes up, nobody's chanting. We don't want to chant Drake May. Week 8, week
Right.
9 down the line and saying like, oh, he needs to get into the game. No, he needs to sit and learn for at least a year. Now, 3 years down the line, if he could somehow get on a Jordan Love plan, he can pop like Jordan Love is popping now, but it'll be 4 years down the line. Now,
Right.
are you willing to wait and be patient, which most teams aren't? Um, but the Packers had the luxury of being patient because they had Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
So a good fit for Drake May, somebody that has a quarterback in place already. So and in the top, I'm trying to think. So the Giants, Raiders, Vikings. Now all of them are very. I mean, the
Yeah.
Giants could. The Giants could. But I think they would just put more problems on their plate.
Yeah.
But I would not. I wouldn't trade up for Drake May. I think there's a nice little gap. It's Caleb Williams, small gap. Jaden Daniels, gap. Drake May, kind of everybody else. Because I don't think Drake May is head and shoulders above anybody else. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a nice little gap between 2 and 3. Or I guess 3 and everybody else.
Well, Crevonte, I mean that pretty much says it all. I mean, like I said, it could be a situation where he falls if he doesn't go at 3, but if he goes at 3, do the Patriots have enough around him to prevent what happened to Mac Jones? It's going to be interesting, man. I think the draft really starts at 3.
Absolutely. And I think that will be where a trade happens, or the Patriots may be stuck and take another player. Because again, the Patriots definitely don't want if it goes Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, the Patriots don't want to pick. I don't think they like Drake. They're not in love with Drake May, let me say that. So
Fair enough.
he may fall.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who falls, especially once you get to like after pick 7 or 8. The Bears could trade out. Vikings at 11, Broncos at 12, Raiders at 13, even the Saints at 14. What do they do? We'll keep an eye on that. A lot of interesting happenings that could happen after the first 3 or 4 picks. Any final things on Drake May, Crevonte?
Um, he has potential. His floor is pretty high. You know what I'm saying? But he needs time. He needs time. Do you need to be very, very patient with a player like Drake May because he can be really good, but you got to put time and effort into him. But in order for that to happen, everybody needs to be patient because you don't want like what's about to happen to Caleb Williams. You don't want it to happen to Drake May. Caleb Williams is going to be on his second quarterback. I mean, his second head coach probably in his second year. Drake May he needs consistency. So if you need a quarterback, Drake May's probably not the guy.
Well, Crevonte, you are the guy, and we'll be back with more draft profiles as we continue to head towards the path as the draft is less than 2 weeks away on the Flex On Podcast.